contender. Here is your winner and the new #1 contender for the WWE Championship, Jinder Mahal.
This is Jinder's first ever chance at a WWE Championship. His first ever title opportunity. Jinder could walk out of Backlash the WWE Champion.
This week's SmackDown Live gave us a main event of AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin, and we saw a six-pack challenge to determine the new #1 contender for the WWE Championship. We heard from both Charlotte and Primo in the ring as to what they plan to do since drafting over from Raw last week, and we also hear from Kevin Owens, the new face of America, in his first ever United States Championship Open Challenge. Let's review SmackDown. We opened the show with one of many surprises, is the word I use, on this edition of SmackDown Live with Charlotte Flair. A lot of people wondering what she's going to bring SmackDown Live coming from Raw, and we got to see straight away she's bringing that exact same persona that she's famous for on Raw, and I think it's a fantastic breath of fresh air for her and for the division as well. For some reason, I felt like the SmackDown Live division was missing something, and I feel like Charlotte Flair was that. I feel like her character was that. She came to the ring, usual heel self, bigging herself up, demanding a title opportunity. Naomi comes down to the ring, says usual face stuff. Do you know where you are? You know, it's SmackDown Live. Blah, 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 blah. That's fantastic. She comes down to the ring, have a bit of a face-off. Things get a bit nasty. Naomi going on the attack for Charlotte, which is nice to see. Naomi going on the attack as opposed to Charlotte, kind of stamping her territory before Shane McMahon comes out and makes a match later on the night. Charlotte versus Naomi. If Charlotte can beat Naomi, she gets a title match next week on SmackDown. Interesting to place a title match next week on SmackDown, but there's a possibility of why that might be. Go into that later. But yeah, Shane making the match, everything kind of breaks down again with her going on the attack. I like the intensity of the two characters, just going at each other constantly back and forth. Eventually, with Naomi standing tall, with Charlotte getting her moment to hold the title up, obviously for the hard cam. It's going to be a good fight next week. Obviously, we'll talk about the match on SmackDown later on. But this is a good way to kick off the show, in my opinion, something a little bit different, something a bit more fresh, is what we always like to see. And he showcased Charlotte, showcased exactly what she's going to do for the division, and it definitely looks promising. Next up, the six-pack challenge. I expected this to be the main event. It wasn't. Fair enough. First match of the night. Obviously, it was Dolph Ziggler, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, Mojo Rawley, Jinder Mahal, and Sami Zayn. Now, obviously, they all got the usual entrances. The biggest pops, of course, being for Sami Zayn and Luke Harper. A lot of people saying those are the two that are going to win. Talk about the match itself really quickly. It was a good match. I love the fact that it showcased kind of all six guys, what all six guys bring in their own respective aspects. We've got the energy from Mojo Rawley. We got the intensity from Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. We got the passion from Dolph Ziggler and Sami Zayn. We got something from Jinder Mahal. But the match was good. I really enjoyed the match. Leading up to the end, there was a couple of near falls, which I was really excited about, which got me on the edge of my seat. And it was a good match to showcase what could possibly come out of it. And then Jinder Mahal won. He actually won. Words can't describe how I feel about this. Now, I've had a couple of nights to sleep on this, and I hate the guy. I can't stand the guy. I don't think he's very interesting. I don't think he's great in the ring. I don't think he can pull off a main event match. As usual, I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. I'm the first to say that I hope he proves me wrong. And if he does, I'll sit here and I will say that I was wrong. But I won't have to do that because he won't prove me wrong. I'm positive of it. However, after a couple of nights sleep, I realised they've built a monster heel. I heard about them now breaking ground in India with WWE Network, whether that's connected with them pushing an Indian star, with them breaking through in India with the network. I don't know. That's just speculation. But I just, you know what? Let's wait and see how they build it. They failed to build Bray and Orton. They'll probably fail to build this as well. And Orton versus Mahal as well isn't the right suit up. If they were going to push Mahal, one, they should have pushed him for a lower title. Maybe the United States Championship. I'd have understood that. I'd have got that. This straight push to the top of the card makes no sense, and their styles, Orton and Mahal, won't work together. Mark my words, they will not work together. Orton's a slow, methodical worker. Mahal isn't very interesting, isn't very fast-paced or kind of exciting. this is going to be a boring match. This is going to be a terrible match. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. The stars don't work together. The characters don't work together. Mahal's built as a monster heel, but Randy isn't over as much as they think he is, in my personal opinion. After the match, Orton came down to the ring to confront Mahal, tell him that all he's earned is now out of nowhere. He then proceeded to cut a promo on Bray, while Mahal was just standing there. Great way to build your rivalry for the title. Just cut the number one contender off while you talk to your current contender. The whole thing is just a bit messy around the WWE title, and the fact that they put it so early on the card and not in the main event spot of SmackDown says a lot. It really does. We then got the previously made Charlotte versus Naomi match. Of course, if Charlotte wins, she faces Naomi next week on SmackDown Live for the championship. Charlotte did win. The match was okay. Didn't showcase much for either woman that we've not already seen. And Charlotte won convincingly and clean, leaving Naomi looking a bit sour-faced. And didn't get the... If they booked it just to push Charlotte straight to the top, she'll take the title next week, and then she's at the top of the pile. I don't think the fans are gonna jump on that. I really don't. Not to just push Naomi out like that. I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of Naomi, but she deserved a little bit more time to get her teeth into the belt. I don't feel like they're going to do that with her, and I'm hoping Charlotte doesn't win. But now they've had this such dominant performance from Charlotte, beating Naomi clean. The thought of Naomi now beating Charlotte next week is an odd one. After seeing Charlotte win so dominantly, but we'll have to wait and see for next week. My personal theory is that Alexa Bliss may beat Bayley for the title at Payback, and they're wanting Charlotte to take the title from Naomi first, so that she's the first Raw and SmackDown champion before Alexa Bliss then does that feat on Raw. I don't know. Obviously, it's all speculation, but we'll have to wait and see for next week. Tag team action next. Now, obviously, we got to see Primo and Epico debut last week, drafting over from Raw in quite dominant and aggressive and good fashion, may I add. So they got the shot this week. They came out last week attacking American Alpha after their match with the Usos. This week we've got the match American Alpha versus Primo and Epico. And first of all, didn't like the fact that Primo and Epico didn't get an entrance. They were already in the ring when we cut to the match. I thought if you're going to build them as a dominant threat in tag division, they should at least get a big entrance, or at least an entrance. They didn't get that. I also thought they'd change up their attire a little bit. Don't feel like they have very much, if at all. I liked what they were in last week. Obviously, that was just as an interference, but I liked that kind of style and look that they had going on. I feel like they should have attempted to carry that on in their in-ring attire. They didn't. The match itself was not as good as the stuff we've seen from American Alpha and Usos, but it still carried weight. It still gets me hooked for the match. I still want to see what Primo and Epico could do after last week, and they impressed me. They continue to impress me. I like this new attitude they've got. Some of the moves they were playing out were great. Particularly I'm not sure whether it was Primo or Epico, but particularly the double underhook to the face buster looked like a finisher. Like if a singles competitor pulled that move out, that'd be a game changer. That'd be an end of story. That move was awesome. And there's a couple of different moves from the guys. And to finish the match, weren't too sure about the finish. With the kick from the outside, which didn't look very powerful. It looked a little bit botched, if you ask me. To the roll up, it was a heel win for Primo and Epico, which is what we expected, or what I expected anyway. But yeah, they still look like they could be a threat. They haven't lost steam in the second week, and hopefully they can keep that up continuing forward. Of course, one of the biggest acquisitions in the Superstar shakeup was Kevin Owens from Raw to SmackDown, bringing the United States Championship with him, declaring himself as the new face of America. Now, this week on SmackDown Live, we had previously advertised before the show with the first ever Kevin Owens United States Open Challenge. Didn't make any sense since last week. Daniel Bryan told us he wouldn't be defending it before Payback. Made me think, 1, he's obviously not going to lose it. 2, it's a bit of a flash in the pan thing. And 3, his opponent's going to be a dud. Or my personal thought was that it was going to be some sort of skit, like when Kevin Owens brought Gilbert out on Raw that time. The whole thing that felt a bit fishy to me. He came out, it wasn't even an open challenge really. He didn't do the whole whoever's in the back who has an opportunity, go for it. The guy was already in the ring who was facing, so it wasn't like the John Cena open challenge we'd seen, which everyone loved so much. Guy was already in the ring, Gary Gundy or something to that effect. Kevin Owens played the whole thing perfectly, by the way, on the mic, killing it as always. Taking the mic off the announcer, introducing himself, telling Gary to announce himself, looking disgusted at the thought of this guy. Demolished him in great fashion. The match was about 45 seconds long. Hit him with a proper powerbomb, getting the win. Kevin Owens rolled out of the ring, still a little bit more on the mic before jumping on the commentary table for the main event: AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin. So as I said, we had Kevin Owens on the commentary table for this match, and the match itself, as far as main events go, is something I was looking forward to. AJ Styles and Baron Corbin, love both guys. AJ Styles is a great worker. He has the immense ability to bring out the best in anyone he faces, and Baron Corbin, I don't feel like has reached his best yet, and he's very entertaining for me. I'm the future champion already, and I don't feel like he's reached his best. So it was going to be cool to see what AJ Styles could bring out of him. The match could have been better. It wasn't an exhilarating thrill, but it did what it needed to do. It kept that rivalry going with AJ and Kevin Owens. Obviously, AJ the new number one contender to the United States Championship after Chris Jericho, obviously. And we got that interference at the end with Baron Corbin throwing AJ Styles into Kevin Owens. And then AJ Styles getting the win via count out. Very interesting. Not to give AJ Styles a dominant pin win over Baron Corbin tells me that, one, they obviously want to keep AJ Styles looking dominant when he goes up against Kevin Owens, and two, they don't want Baron Corbin to look weak. Although he lost the match, granted, he wasn't pinned, he wasn't submitted. He was given a brutal forearm over the barrier with maybe 2 counts left on the from the referee. So not an embarrassing win whatsoever for Baron Corbin, and it tells me they've clearly got plans for this guy in the future, main event plans, may I add. But yeah, as far as a whole, the match was good. I enjoyed it. The end, I enjoyed the interference with KO. I enjoyed it. Carried all the narratives right, and it was possibly the high point of SmackDown. I'd say SmackDown as a whole this week probably didn't beat Raw in my opinion, for a couple of reasons. One, Jinder Mahal, it should have been a different way. It should have been either a mid-card title or I don't know. I just feel like especially because he pinned Sami Zayn. Nope. I like the stuff with Charlotte. I kind of like the stuff with Pure and Epico, although it was kind of basic, and the main event was okay for what it needed to do. It's very interesting that they're making the United States Championship the title on SmackDown while they're just pushing the WWE title out. And I feel like they think they're great tacticians by doing this. They're not, because they're doing it in the complete wrong way. I get the tactic, but they're carrying it out completely wrong in my personal opinion, and they're not building up the United States Championship. They're just putting down the WWE title. And that's not going to work, in my personal opinion. But obviously, that's my opinion. Everyone's free to their opinions. But we'll see where it goes. And where it will go is the WWE title going while the United States Championship goes up. When we have a SmackDown pay-per-view with AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal, which match am I more invested in? Which match are you more invested in? Which match is everyone more invested in? Yeah, anyone that says Orton Mahal is trying to be different. Trying too hard to be, failing to be different. They're being so different that they're different from the difference. And they're wrong. They're completely wrong. Takeaways from this from SmackDown Live this week, obviously the championship match next week between Charlotte and Naomi. Will Charlotte beat Naomi so soon and become the champion so soon after drafting to SmackDown? Jinder Mahal, obviously, how will they carry this feud? Randy Orton's obviously still to face Payback. What will they do in the meantime with Jinder? Will they just keep coming out to torment Randy? Will something happen with the Bollywood boys? We'll have to wait and see. As well as that, obviously AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. What's going to happen with Baron Corbin now? Now AJ Styles, I'm assuming they're going to keep carrying AJ Corbin until Jericho's out of the way, so that AJ can continue with Kevin Owens. As far as next week's concerned, what's going to happen with Corbin? Not 100% sure. We'll have to wait and see. As well as that, what's going to happen with Ty Dillinger, the lower mid-card guys now? How are they going to keep them invested, and how are they going to keep pushing Primo and Epico as well in the tag division to be that dominant threat? Guys, thanks for watching as always. If you like what you see, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts in the comments if you agree or disagree with anything I've said, not that you would. You can follow my thoughts on Twitter at run_the ropes. Other than that, check back next week for some more reviews.